Now we will see Shapiro reaction. A small modification of this reaction conditions, tosyl hydrogen, instead of a reducing agent, if we use a base, then it is called Shapiro reaction. So what is a Shapiro reaction? Conversion of a carbonyl, either aldehyde or ketone, to an alkene to an alkene using tosyl hydrogen and a base I'll give the mechanism also. Of course, the first step is the formation of tosyl hydrazone, right? So with the expulsion of water, we are generating tosyl hydrazone. Then when we add base, either alkyl lithium or some amine bases, we can use any strong base here. So there are two possibilities for the deprotonation. One is the proton and nitrogen, which is very acidic, so we can take out this proton. Similarly, proton and alpha carbon, imine and aldehyde, both are almost imine and carbonyl are having similar reactivities. So the proton and alpha carbon is also acidic, similar to a carbonyl. So when we add a base, a proton and nitrogen and proton and alpha carbon will be removed, and we will be generating a dianion here. This is most important. When we have this dianion, just polarize these negative charges one by one. So first polarize this fellow. So this will be polarized to generate the carbon-carbon double bond in the first step itself. Then this nitrogen carbon double bond will be polarized towards nitrogen nitrogen double bond, because tosyl group is a good leaving group. So in the second step itself, we are generating carbon carbon double bond, and we have generated nitrogen nitrogen double bond as well, and a negative charge is there on nitrogen. Then now polarize this negative charge towards nitrogen so that it generates a nitrogen nitrogen triple bond. So nitrogen gas, then this carbon nitrogen bond will break down to give vinyl anion. It is a nitrogen gas, so it will be escaping from the reaction mixture, and we have a vinyl anion. So this vinyl anion can be protonated so that we will get an alkene. So this is what is called Shapiro reaction. So a simple modification of Wolff-Kishner reduction. So when we treat a carbonyl with tosyl hydrogen followed by a base, then we will generate an alkene. Okay. If we use reducing agent, we will get we will completely reduce this carbonyl. the above given carbonyl is a symmetrical carbonyl, but if we have an unsymmetrical carbonyl, then how it will generate a double bond, whether it is a kinetic product or thermodynamic product. So there is two possibilities. We can generate a double bond here, or we can generate a double bond here. Generally, this reaction is a kinetic controlled reaction. This reaction is a kinetic controlled reaction. So we will get less substituted double bonds here. It is a kinetic product, kinetic controlled product. That means less substituted double bonds, less substituted double bond is the product here. Okay. Not only that, if we add some proton source, this anion will be quenched. If we don't add proton, and alternatively we can use some electrophiles like alkyl halides or carbonyls. Carbonyl carbon is electrophilic in nature, right? So this anion will undergo condensation with this carbonyl. So if we want to stop at the alkene stage itself, yes, we can add a proton source so that it will stop here. But if we add some other electrophile source, then the generated anion will undergo a reaction with this electrophile. So here the product is an alcohol. So that is also possible. If we want to stop it at the alkene stage, we can stop it. Or if we want to extend the reaction, then we need to add an electrophile. Aldehydes, ketones, esters, even alkyl halides. So when we use them, the reaction can be extended further. So in this case, the carbonyl, both are that much stereoselectivity or sterical crowding is not there. So both sides, it is possible to generate the double bond. So when there is a possibility for the generation of double bond on both sides, we will be getting a 1:1 product. The product will be 1:1. So that means a double bond here and another product, a double bond here. When we add deuterated water, when we add water here, we will get proton. But when we add deuterated water, we will get deuterium here. We will get deuterium here. Yeah, sorry, there is a mistake. I also did not notice it. Here, the negative charge will be generated here at the carbon, right? At the carbonyl carbon, I'm sorry. The negative charge must be generated at the carbonyl carbon, not on the other side. Yeah, thanks for rightly pointing it out. The negative charge will be generated here. So the condensation will be here, not here. I'm sorry. The negative charge must be generated at the carbonyl place. Negative charge must be generated at the carbonyl carbon. Then that will undergo condensation. Yeah, please correct this. Negative charge must be generated at the carbonyl carbon. Yeah, please take a snapshot. I'll change this page. Yeah, I'll give 3 more examples on this and we will see Eschen-Moser fragmentation. Oh, sorry. So you just write the products, okay? I'm not going to give you the products. So under Shapiro reaction conditions, what is the product we get from camphor? So this is camphor, right? So what is the product here? So what is the product here? So we have selectivity here. Here also we have selectivity. Take these 3 examples and you practice them. Okay, now we will see Eschen-Moser fragmentation. Eschen-Moser fragmentation. What is Eschen-Moser fragmentation? So the same Shapiro reaction conditions when we use it on epoxide alpha 2 carbonyl. When we apply Shapiro reaction conditions, that means tosyl hydrogen and a base, and an epoxide next alpha to a carbonyl. For example, when we have this cyclohexanone, cyclohexenone, we can do epoxidation under basic conditions, sodium hydroxide and hydrogen peroxide, because we have an electron withdrawing group, so we must apply this nucleophilic epoxidation. When we do nucleophilic epoxidation, what we are getting is an epoxide here, an epoxide here. Of course, we have 1, 2, 3, so fourth bond must be hydrogen. So I will be labeling them hydrogen 1, hydrogen 2. When we apply Shapiro reaction conditions on this epoxide carbonyl, please mute yourself. All of you must mute yourself. All of you, please mute yourself. So when we apply Shapiro reaction conditions, then what we are generating is an interesting product. We are generating a carbon-carbon triple bond here. So that means a carbonyl carbon and the epoxide carbon. So we are generating a triple bond here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a carbonyl and this is hydrogen, because this is labeled as H1 and here it is labeled as H2. So when we look at the number of carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, when we apply Shapiro reaction conditions on an epoxide next to a carbonyl, we are generating a triple bond between epoxide carbon and carbonyl carbon. So this will be converted as a triple bond, and the other carbon in epoxide will be converted to a carbonyl, because we are having a hydrogen. It is an aldehyde. If we have an R group here, it becomes a ketone. So this is what is called Eschen-Moser fragmentation. I will also discuss the mechanism here. Yeah, of course, I don't need to discuss the mechanism up to this, and next tosyl hydrogen reaction also. So I will discuss the mechanism after that. So yeah, we have this tosyl hydrogene, and we also have this epoxide. Okay. Then when we add base, here of course negative charge can be generated here and here, but this is useful for us. So I will explain the negative charge on nitrogen. We will have a negative charge here. Of course, we have epoxide. This is hydrogen 1, this is hydrogen 2, hydrogen 1, hydrogen 2. Now polarize this negative charge into the ring and see what will happen. When we polarize this towards nitrogen, we will be generating nitrogen-nitrogen double bond. Then carbon-nitrogen bond will be polarized towards epoxide, so we are generating carbon-carbon double bond. Now the epoxide will undergo breakage. So the epoxide ring will be breaking now. So the product here is we have nitrogen double bond tosyl group. Now the new double bond is formed here, and of course this is H2. Here we have H1 as well as oxygen minus. So this is most important step. Okay, when we polarize this negative charge of nitrogen into the ring, we are generating a carbon-carbon double bond, and we are breaking this epoxide to generate an oxide ion. Now this oxide ion will be converted to a carbonyl. That means the oxide O minus negative charge will be polarized towards carbon. So we will generate a carbon-oxygen double bond. Then we are breaking this carbon-carbon bond, which is previously in the epoxide. Okay, so this carbon-carbon bond will break down and it will be polarized towards carbon-carbon double bond. So here we are generating carbon-carbon triple bond. Then this carbon-nitrogen bond will be broken. So it will generate a nitrogen-nitrogen triple bond and loss of tosyl group. So here what we are getting is essentially nitrogen minus nitrogen gas, and then tosyl will be leaving. So we are generating this carbonyl here and a triple bond here. So this is what is called Eschen-Moser fragmentation. Okay, I'll just give two examples on this. Yeah, take the notes. I'll just give two examples. So when we do nucleophilic epoxidation on enone, we will be generating an epoxide. When we treat this one with tosyl hydrogen, we will be getting a tosyl hydrazone. After treating with the base, we are generating a triple bond and a carbonyl. Now the triple bond is generated between carbonyl carbon and epoxide carbon. Then carbonyl aldehyde ketone is generated at the other end of the epoxide. Okay, so we can easily predict the products also. So this is how we can simply predict the products. Okay, so we will be generating a triple bond here, and we are breaking this double bond. So this double bond is converted to a carbonyl, and this bond between the carbonyl carbon and the alkene it is now converted as a triple bond. Similarly, here also we can easily predict the products. What we need to do, we will break this bond, and this carbonyl and alkene, it will be converted as a triple bond. So just put the triple bond first, then count the number of carbons. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth carbon is the carbonyl. 1 means this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is that? Sixth carbon is the carbonyl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth carbon is the carbonyl. Then how many we have from the carbonyl? Okay, leave the carbonyl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 carbons here. So we need to write 6 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.